T-minus 10, 9, 8,
The clock is
7.
operating. We're underway.
Tranquility Base here.
Endeavor, go at throttle up.
Did you have to go over the? Oh, I see the cart. Okay.
Yeah, I went fast.
I see it's right on top of the spur. Right at the top of the spur.
Okay, Dan.
Go ahead.
You are. Stand by. I got
Okay.
you over mine.
Okay, standing by.
Under.
Standing by.
Our first view of the spacewalkers, albeit a distant view. The Canadarm2 providing the video capability to view portions of today's spacewalk is fixed back at worksite 4.
All right.
Its normal position in the middle of the truss structure of the International Space Station in support of preparations for the STS-122 mission, the flight of Atlantis scheduled to launch next week.
And Dan, check your safety tether rail is on.
At the very top of your screen, you can see the solar alpha rotary joint, the SARJ, the starboard SARJ that has been the focus of other attention, of inspection to determine the source of contamination that has resulted in the disabling of the full operation of that joint since last fall.
Here, I'm ready for thermal cover. Thermal cover's closed.
We copy, Dan. Your go to translate to the starboardmost seated to pick up the APFR.
Wilco.
I'm translating again.
All right. I don't have eyeballs on you anymore.
That's all right. I'm still.
This view from the helmet camera from Peggy Whitson as she makes her way over to the S3 truss of the International Space Station, moving down the starboard side of the complex. Dan Tawney joining her as he makes his way also with other equipment in a separate crew lock bag. He'll be translating to the solar alpha rotary joint, a stop-off point before the two crew members make it all the way to the S5 truss, where they will then begin work to remove a strut, enabling Whitson to crawl inside that lattice work structure to begin work for the removal of the bearing motor roll ring module, the failed component, once we move back into a night pass on the next orbit of the Earth.
Untangled there.
The International Space Station flying 215 miles over eastern China, about to move into an orbital sunset. Again, it will take the crew throughout the next 35 minutes of this particular eclipse and the next daylight pass to set up all of their gear, and they'll be standing by for the green light from Mission Control at the subsequent night pass that would begin at about 5:55 a.m. Central Time, before they begin all of the meaningful work to begin unlatching and disconnecting the critical connectors for the failed bearing motor roll ring module in the beta gimbal assembly at the base of the S4-1A solar array.
Copy, Peg.
Okay, I've got the APFR. Yeah, might as well do the settings here, right?
That's right, Dan. What we have is November, Golf 3.
November, Golf 3.
That's a good copy, Dan.
Any sentence with the word golf in it is a good one.
And Dan, as you know, you'll be attaching the crew lock bag to the APFR.
Crew lock bag to the... Right, okay, thank you.
translated over the chime in here to get to the aft side? Thinking I need to be on the aft side, Tom.
And Peggy,
Can I go back and go down zenith aft?
and Peggy, yes, we see you. Your translation path is being zenith along the Sarge and then over the top, and then you do need to be on the aft zenith side of the IEA and outboard.
Okay. Okay. All right. I'm headed back port on the IEA so I can get to the side, or to the aft side.
And for Peg and Dan, 1 minute to sunset, and handrail 2103, Peggy, is what you're looking for.
Capcom Tom Marshburn providing the roadmap for Peggy Whitson as she makes her way to the proper location at the work site on the S5 truss, the far starboard side of the International Space Station, looking for handrail 2103. That's where she will temporarily stow the new bearing motor roll ring module canister on a ball stack, as it is called, a temporary bracket to temporarily stow it while other work in preparation for the actual removal of the failed broom begins.
Oh, my safety tether got caught up back here. I gotta release it out of these cables.
Never really walked through how to do this, how to put a acrylic bag on an APFR. Guess I'm just...
I usually do it on the foot plate.
Yeah, that's what I'm doing, but I got too much tether. So, I'll see if I can... Kind of loose there, but...
Not going too far.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm zenith aft, being out starboard
Copy, Peg.
on the IEA.
2103 is the handrail along your path there for the broom canister and attach the mud ball stack.
Okay. Okay, and then Dan, just for your information, getting kind of over the top was a little bit challenging.
Okay.
I ended up just, putting feet straight up to try and get over everything and keep the broom up there with it.
Okay. It's challenging because of the broom, is what you're saying?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thanks for that.
.03, right, Tom?
That's right, Peg. And looking on your camera, it looks like you're right next to the spot there.
Yeah.
Okay, got the IPFR.
We copy, Dan. And once you've got that attached onto the BRT, you go to translate along till you get to the Sarge.
Okay, welcome. There's only one APFR here, right? Out here.
We're checking, Dan.
it was on the inboard side of the outboard vehicle.
We copy. And yeah, that's the only
Right next to the...
that's the only APFR there.
Okay, all right. There are other foot plates here, but okay.
And Dan, we'll have a fair lead location with a wire tie only if you need it for clearance from Peggy safety tether when you get to the Sarge.
Okay.
"30 minutes into today's spacewalk by Peggy Whitson and Dan Tawney, the two crew members who began their spacewalk about 24 minutes ahead of schedule, moving methodically over to the work site to set up all of their tools and equipment at the S5 truss on the far right side of the International Space Station's truss system. This is the Broom work site, the bearing motor roll ring module work site, where the crew will
And Dan, if you need it,
put all of their tools into place, temporarily stow the replacement broom, and wait for the next night pass that is not scheduled to begin for another hour and a half.
All right, stand by. So I'm not at the Sarge yet, so get to the Sarge and then...
you're right, Dan. Thanks.
Okay, 30, which one?
And Dan,
For Fairlead?
3061 for the fair lead if you need it. It's a little bit nadir around your knees if you're at the Sarge.
Okay. Do I need it? Let's see. I might as well, huh?
Yep.
I might use 6.2, which is on face 1. I'm going to use 6.2, unless that's a problem, which is right at the bottom of face 1.
We copy, Dan. That'll work for us, but only if you need it. It's just for clearance from Peggy safety tether. Not required if you don't think it's required.
Well, since I'm going to be going up and down, I'd like to be anchored a little bit closer, so I am going to put a fair lead here.
We copy. Good call, Dan. Thanks.
Yeah, you guys had recommended I not do the adjustable first, but is that correct? Am I misremembering that? I got too many constrained points here, I think.
That's true, Peggy. We thought the MUT first and the adjustable would be best.
Okay, I think the only way to do that is to release my BRT, so it'll just be hanging on to me on an adjustable. Is that okay?
That's a good call, Peg. That's okay.
The BRT is a body rigid tether Whitson referring to as she configures her tools and tethers on the aft zenith side of the S5 truss, while Dan Tawney is putting himself in a position around the S3 solar alpha rotary joint, the starboard solar alpha rotary joint that he and Whitson will be conducting additional inspections on later in the spacewalk. He will be setting up portable foot restraints at a worksite interface on the S4 truss so that he can provide assistance for Whitson while she is in the lattice work of the S5 truss, beginning work to remove the failed bearing motor roll ring module a short time from now.
I've done that, I don't think.
Okay, Tom, I'm fair led to the nadir standoff of 3062.
We copy, Dan.
Okay. All right.
And Peggy, in the pool, we had the mutt ball stack attached to the handrail 90 degrees off on the weak side there. If you think that configuration will work better.
Okay. Yeah, I think it probably would make it easier for Dan later, so let me change that up.
So, Peggy, you have go ingress until ingress APFR, and they're going to reach S-band, and so it will take few minutes, and so far you don't have go further until establish come.
Okay, I understand. Yeah. Help me.
Okay.
The communications officer here in Mission Control about to swap strings on the S-band communication system to try to communicate with the crew through Space-to-Ground 2, the alternate Space-to-Ground audio uplink capability. Meanwhile, the first clear view of Dan Tawney in the vicinity of the S5 truss of the International Space Station. Right behind him is the mast canister for the S4 solar arrays. Peggy Whitson making her way inside the S5 truss, having removed a strut to pre-position herself and stand by for further instructions from Mission Control pending the resolution of this communications problem that cropped up a short time ago. Whitson and Tawney now 1 hour, 2 minutes into today's spacewalk.
That's going to be tighter than I thought.
Still looking for the vice guard there.
Hey, Peggy, do you have somewhere here hard copy of procedure just in case?
Yes, we do. We both have our cuff. Hey,
Alpha Houston on 1. How do you read, Peggy, Dan?
Tom. Hey, we got you.
Clear.
Copy. We're going to do a real quick comm check on 2.
Welcome back.
Alpha Houston on 2. How do you read your?
Okay.
Loud and clear.
Copy. We'll meet Peg and Dan back on 1. Thanks a lot.
Okay, there. You guys just going to clear my mini workstation?
Peg and Dan, we're back with you on 1, and we're ready to sync up with you on the timeline when you are.
Okay.
Okay, the strut's removed, but I didn't tie it down because I didn't know if we were going to continue. I'm in the APFR. I tried leaning back. It's a little bit challenging, but I might have to take 1 foot out, but I think I can do it. The other thing I might be able to do is like put my mini workstation down at my legs, give myself a little more clearance at my chest. But I think it'll work.
Okay, and for Dan, I've looked at the vice clamp location. I think it's no problem. I got a handhold here, and I've released 1 dual latch on the spare broom.
Okay, we copy. And for Peggy, if you could give us a glove inspection, please.
Yes, left glove is pristine. Right glove has no new nicks or any cuts or anything. It just has that one little place of RTV. Actually, Jim, I do have a little spot of RTV missing, and it's right in the curve of my left hand. So right on the thumb. I must have done it when I pulled myself in here to APFR, because I did a glove inspection outside.
have Hollis cam?
We copied Peg, and yes, Dan, we do have both. Peggy, have you temp stowed a RET on that handrail 2112 just over your right shoulder for the failed broom?
No, I have not. 2, 5. You want me to go ahead and do that? I can start.
That's right.
That. I'm going to probably have to egress the APFR to do that.
Copy. And it's handrail 2112.
All right.
And for Dan, if we can get a glove inspection from you.
Yeah, over gloves were nominal, and glove, well, left glove is fine, no issues. Looks like when I came out, and right is the same, pristine.
We copy, Dan. Peggy, if you've not egressed already, sometimes bending the knees helps to do that layback. But for Dan also, we want to know if you've retrieved the cap and the cannon connector tool from the crew lock bag.
I did. Yes, the cap is in my possession.
Copy, and that's the large cap?
Large cap.
Okay, we copy that. And so, Dan, you can go ahead and
Okay.
we understand you've removed the connector plate. Is that right, on the broom, Dan?
I have not. I was going to do the connector plate last. I was going to do all the fasteners first. Well, maybe all but the center fastener.
Okay, we copy.
Houston, the red is temp stowed.
Copy, Peg. And
would you like me to go ahead and tie down the strut, the S5 strut that I removed to the 4-bar linkage? It's not done yet.
Peggy Whitson working in tight quarters inside the S5 truss, having left the portable foot restraint temporarily as she continues to configure tools and is about to tie down the strut that she removed to provide her with the access she needed to get inside that cramped space for the removal of the failed bearing motor roll ring module. Meanwhile, communications restored through a backup S-band communication string by the Communications and Tracking Systems Officer here in Mission Control, while troubleshooting continues on the other string, string 2, that was the prime string for S-band communications up to the crew that experienced an interruption a short time ago. So the spacewalk proceeds, 1 hour, 8 minutes now in duration. You're looking through the helmet camera of Dan Tawney as he uses a pistol grip tool, a high-tech screwdriver, to back out the bolts on a connector cover plate on the replacement bearing motor roll ring module, the motor that will be installed in place of the failed motor in the beta gimbal assembly at the base of the S4-1A solar array wing.
And if you could confirm this is 2 of 3 dual latch fasteners that you've completed.
That's a firm. Last one to go will be the H4.
We copy.
You're looking at the spare broom that will be installed into the beta gimbal assembly housing once the old broom is removed. The actual broom connector work at the base of the solar array wing will not begin until we pass back into an eclipse or night pass about 52 minutes from now.
I have to red on the handrail. Should I go ahead and run that to the room, the failed room?
And Peggy, yes, if it tends to get in your way, we'll follow up with you on the stuff later on to make sure it's tethered.
Okay. Well, actually, why don't I work the MLI and the plug tether first, and then tether to it? Okay.
That's a good call, Peg. So,
actually, the MLI is still closed, so I can't tether to it. Yeah.
Copy. Sounds like a great plan. Thanks. And you can also release TA clamps on the connector cables as required.
Okay. I'll let you know as I do.
Okay, cover plate that plate is off. It's tethered to the canister and coming with the J1 cap.
Copy, Dan. Thanks a lot.
Okay, cap is on. I'm going to leave the ret on the cap. It seems a little loose, so I'm going to leave the ret on the cap and just apply it to the broom.
We copy, Dan. Sounds good. And we're ready for PGT.
And there's a good view of the replacement bearing motor roll ring module. Dan Tawney's helmet camera providing that view, having removed a cover plate as he works in the vicinity of the S5 truss in which Peggy Whitson is located. Here on the ground, a temporary communications problem was solved through the communications S-band audio communications being moved to a backup string or channel. The communications and tracking officer here in Mission Control doing troubleshooting on a baseband signal processor, essentially a system that routes the audio up and down from the International Space Station. The problem identified on what was the prime string identified as string 2. We're now operating on string 1 with no problems.
Okay, can you check my cup checklist, the cup checklist you guys sent out? Make sure that, I mean, I trust Alpha 3, but, and that's the same as I did saw latch. I had saw latch Alpha 3, counterclockwise 2, housing fasteners, Alpha, I have Alpha 6, but I'll do Alpha 3. Actually, these are just hand tightened anyway, so.
Yeah.
But I'm worried about our inconsistency.
Yeah, we copy, Dan, and we're looking.
What body of water are we going over right now? Big lake.
Okay.
And for Dan, Alpha 3 is the correct setting. It looks like the Alpha 6 is incorrect on the cuff checklist. We'll be checking the rest of the cuff as well.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. 8, Hotel 8 is released.
Copy, and you'll be working in a star pattern there, if you remember.
Yep. I'm doing Hotel 6.
Copy, thanks.
Okay, the MLI is released from the upper point where it's set still. I'm working on the plug here.
And I'm doing all 4 housing fasteners. Is that correct, Tom?
Copy, Peg, and Dan, that's correct. You can do all 4.
Okay, 6 hotel. Or 8 hotel. There's upside down. So, it's hotel. So hotel 9 next.
Okay, the plug is installed and the red is transferred to the MLI for the plug.
Copy, Peggy. And if you need to secure the thermal cover with the RET, that's the next on the procedure. And if you need to release any TA clamps, you're good for that.
Okay.
Okay, Hotel 7 is released. That's all of them. Thunderbolt to go. Right now it is tethered with a large small rat to the canister. Broom tethered to the canister.
We copy, Dan. Sounds great. And PGT settings, when you're ready for the center fastener, we have that.
I'm ready.
Alpha 7, counterclockwise 2, 30.5. Expect 8 to 10 turns.
Okay. Alpha 7, counter 2, 8 to 10.
Good copy, Dan.
Thunderbolt.
Okay, the MLI cover.
Popped out.
We copy, Peg.
MLI cover's got a red on it and it's completely released.
Okay, copy, Peg. And if you're happy with the TA clamps, then you're good to ingress the APFR.
Those are in work. TA clamps are in work. I took one off of W06, one off of W05. I'm going to take one off of W19.
Dan Tawney has spent the last few minutes using a pistol grip tool to properly configure a series of latch fasteners for the point at which this new broom or bearing motor roll ring module component will be installed in the beta gimbal assembly canister to provide the structural support and backbone for the S41A solar array wing. He has also released a series of housing fasteners, putting them in the proper configuration. All of this work in preparation for the next night pass that will begin about 43 minutes from now, in which Peggy Whitson inside the S5 truss will begin to demate a series of power connectors on the failed broom inside the beta gimbal assembly so it can be removed.
And Dan, 2101 was our handrail we had for that.
Okay. Look down here. I don't know if that'll reach. That reached all the way into the to replace it, Tom?
That's firm. It didn't work.
I guess so. That's what you're telling me. A long way. All right. I think we should run a little test here, Peg.
Okay, we can do that.
And Dan, it's a 6-foot tether. If you don't think that'll work.
Well, we could. I'm going to run it. Have her just move the ret all the way down to the existing room. See if it makes it fits.
We copy, Dan.
And for the power, did you have a particular place you were reading to? That power cable? The only thing that looks like it's about the right size is one of the 1553 cables.
We're talking about Peg.
Hey, Peg, if you got a second here, there's a ret. Just to see if it'll reach the handrail down there, or the broom.
My left side? Okay.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay, all right.
Good sit check.
Yeah. Yeah, you just let it go. Zip it back.
Okay.
Did the force of the ret, was that significant, or do you want me to, do you want me to lock it out?
No, I don't think you want to do that.
Okay. Okay, so, Tom, the replacement broom is, unbolted and loose, held in with the large small, and I'm going to think of my next step.
Dan, your next step will be to move up when Peggy is driving the dual latch fasteners. So we're going to be waiting for Peggy to get to
I'll watch the dual latches. Okay, all right, no problem.
Okay, so I should ingress the APFR now.
If you're happy with the config there, Peg, you can ingress the APFR.
Yeah. Yeah.
One hour and 19 minutes into the spacewalk, the International Space Station currently flying over the southern Atlantic Ocean, about to move from southwest to northeast,
That'd be great. That'd be
just to the south of the continent of Africa and to the east of the island of Madagascar. Peggy Whitson and Dan Tawney pressing ahead with their work in the early stage of the operation to remove a failed bearing motor roll ring module, the motor that drives or pivots the starboard 4 solar arrays to face the sun as the station moves from daylight to darkness to collect energy from that solar array wing. That component, the broom, inside the beta gimbal assembly itself, the mechanism that actually drives the solar array wing towards the sun, towards its ability to face the sun. It failed back on December 8th, a series of electrical failures, and is being replaced today in this complex and heavily choreographed spacewalk by Mission Control, Whitson and Tawney, in the 6th spacewalk of their careers, the 5th spacewalk for Expedition 16.
Yes, hold on.
The spare bearing motor roll ring module that had been stowed in pressurized mating adapter number 3 for quite some time is now stowed in its container in a on a tether near a bracket along the S5 truss, as Tawny is working with Whitson to open up a thermal cover on the bearing motor roll ring module, and to install a plug feed into the multi-layer insulation that surrounds the beta gimbal assembly, as well as the replacement broom that you can see mounted on the lower right-hand side of your screen on a bracket on the S5 truss itself.
Back here, can you left hand up? Oh, hold on.
I got it.
Okay, now the red's going to be right over your helmet.
Okay. Is this clear of me?
Yes, that's clear.
Okay.
But it's close to your light on the right side, but we'll watch it.
All right.
Okay, so right now it's over your fliss, but it's rubbing sort of on the outside of the light.
Okay.
Okay, just so you know. All right.
All right, and I need to get ready for the latch fasteners. Get this done.
And Dan, once you're in place, Peggy, we've got PGT settings for you. And also for both, we're about 35 minutes away from the eclipse.
Oh, okay, good. All right, we're still doing okay then, I think.
I'm looking straight at that dual latch. It's a great view.
Peggy, it's Bravo 7, counterclockwise 2, 30.5.
I got a cow again. Bravo 7.
And Peg, that'll be one turn only to break the torque, and then we have other settings for you for the rest.
Okay, so you want to break torque on all 3 right now, is that correct?
That's right, Peg. It's get a go from Dan that he's in good position.
Okay, Dan.
Sure.
This view from Peggy Whitson's helmet camera as you're looking at the failed bearing motor roll ring module. Again, what she is doing at the moment is she's breaking torque on dual latch fasteners that essentially hold the bearing motor roll ring module inside the housing of the beta gimbal assembly, which is the structural backbone for the solar array wing. She's not touching any of the connectors. You see that large connector is the J1 connector that provides all of the power routing to and from the S4-1A solar array.
Depressed. One turn. On H2 now, H4, this is the one you can't see, Dan?
Yeah, I can't see it right now, but maybe I can move around a little bit. I have to just move down.
Okay, one turn.
Oh, I can see it.
Okay, now new settings, Tom?
And Peg, for H4, are you still doing the one turn, or are we starting over again?
I've done one turn on all 3.
Copy, Peg.
2, 3, and 4.
So we copy.
That's the right number?
That's right. And the new settings are alpha 3, counterclockwise 2, 30.5. These will take 21 to 25 turns.
Okay, you're going to do the one near me first?
Yeah.
Great.
Alpha 3, counterclockwise 2.
That's a good copy, Peg.
Okay, Alpha 2. All right, Dan.
Okay, I'm ready. can't see the follower pins, but I'll be able to see the...
Okay. All right, starting to turn now.
Whitson, in this view from her helmet camera, doing the work, the preparatory work with a pistol grip tool to properly configure the latch fasteners so that it will be a fairly smooth and facile process to remove the bearing motor roll ring module and its associated connectors from the beta gimbal assembly housing, the canister that this motor sits inside, once we move into an orbital sunset about 35 minutes from now.
You can see it engaging the pin.
20 turns.
21 to 25 turns back.
Okay, I see it. It pulled the latch block, the pin block out a little bit, but now it's reseated, so now the block is flush on the platform.
And I got a green with a torque actual of 4.6 and 24.8 turns.
We copy all. Thanks a lot, guys.
Okay. Okay, next. I need to get...
Okay, got a good view of it now.
Was it Alpha 3, counterclockwise 2?
And Peg, that's confirmed for the dual latch fastener. We're back with you after a 20-second handover. Alpha 3 counterclockwise 2 for the dual latch fastener.
Okay. Okay. Ready to drive H2.
I see you with driving it, and I'm watching the latch.
Working on H9 now.
And Peg, just so you know, we're putting in steps from the ground to energize J3, but you're in a good config. That's just FYI. You're in a good config.
Okay, no problem. I got 6.8 green light. 4.5 turns.
We copy, and we understand you're complete with all fasteners. It's been on.
During this daylight pass, Dan Tawney will be working to put the failed bearing motor roll ring module into its canister for transport back to the Quest airlock.
Is that right?
And Dan, we have you as Alpha 2, clockwise 2.
Clock 2. Okay. Good.
And let me know if that J3 connector worked. It didn't look it, didn't feel as solid as the others when they clicked into place.
We copy, Peg. We'll let you know.
Okay, Tom, I got an additional 0.52 turns, and I torqued out at 2.7 or 8, 2.8.
We copy, Dan. Standby 1, we're talking about it.
Okay, trying to get the collar to pop up now. I'm going to have to, there it goes, collar's popped up.
We copy, and we see it too. Thanks.
Tawney putting the final touches with the pistol grip tool and securing a vice clamp at the back end of the housing assembly for the broom, the new broom that has been installed.
And Peg and Dan, standby 1. We're talking about the vice clamp bolt right now.
Okay.
Okay?
A good view of Dan Tawney peering into the S5 truss toward the beta gimbal assembly. Behind him, the large mast canister at the base of the starboard 4 solar arrays.
Nice tight fit. It's so cool to be able to look at that velocity vector. It is so beautiful.
And Peg and Dan, Peg, we're going to ask you, or correction, Dan, we're going to ask you to do a visual inspection, more words in a sec, and then once that's good, Peg, we'll have you go ahead and put in the dual latch fasteners for the new broom. For Dan, if you can see it between the housing and the platform, we're looking to see if those vice clamp shoes, the 3 of them, have engaged the rim there. Do you have a good vantage point where you can see that?
Stand by, let me see if I can get there. Oh, come on something. Okay.
Looks like you're moving your safety tether just got on.
My what?
You're fine now. It was your safety tether, I think, caught over the edge of that stuff there.
And we're a minute and a half from a
I cannot
20-second
see the
handover.
shoes. Okay, I cannot see the shoes. However, the horse collar, the big frame that the vice clamp is has moved towards the bolts, and there's about 3/8 of an inch gap between. So when you turn the bolts, the thing rides back and forth. So it is back all the way as far as it can go, and with a gap of 3/8 of an inch. And then the shoes, I can see the shoe. Okay, I can see the shoe, but I can't tell you that it's positively engaged. But I can kind of see it. The track that the frame rides in as it moves back and forth, there's a what's the right word for that? A tongue in a groove, and it looks like the groove is the tongue is completely towards the bolt side, meaning it is, again, pulled all the way towards the bolt. I don't see any tongue, but just the radius right out of the tongue away from the bolt side. Is that clear? Do you have WBS? Does that make any sense, what I'm saying?
We copy, Dan. It seems to make sense, and we're talking about it right now. Thanks.
Okay. Right, the sweet spot for
2 hours, 40 minutes into the spacewalk, Dan Tawney continuing to work with flight controllers here in Mission Control to verify the secure installation of a vice clamp to securely lock the newly installed bearing motor roll ring module into its canister.
You go ahead and do the dual latch fasteners there. And what we're talking about is maybe getting the failed broom into the canister, and we're talking about the timeline, so if we have time to get it back to the airlock before the next eclipse, but we'll get back to you on that.
Okay, right now, okay.
Which one are you going to do first, Peg?
I can do, which one? I'm going to do
easiest one for me would be the one by your feet.
By my feet.
Then I could do look at the other two when I go to the other place.
Okay, so
And I'm right there.
working on H2.
We copy H2,
And my setting,
Alpha 2, clockwise 2.
Alpha 2, clockwise.
Good copy.
Right down.
Here in Mission Control, the electrical systems officer reports to Flight Director Quatziala Barujo that all of the appropriate shunting of the primary power source for the new broom that has been installed in its beta gimbal assembly housing, all of those inhibits are in place for the final connection of the primary power source, the J1 connector. Time ran out on this last night pass for that fifth and final connector to be hooked up by Peggy Whitson. That will take place at about 7:25 Central Time this morning, about 47 minutes from now.
All right, it is clear of the block and still moving.
Meanwhile, Whitson and Tawney working in tandem to complete the fastening of housing fasteners for the newly installed broom. We have not yet begun a health check of the new component. That will not occur until after the final primary power connector, the J1, is hooked up at the point of the next orbital sunset about 47 minutes from now.
Stop moving. Okay, I still see I see the follower pin. It's still moving.
Oh, stop. Okay, I got a green light.
Okay, follower pin is...
Flight controllers now discussing whether enough time exists for Tawney, accompanied by Whitson, to bring the failed broom back into the Quest airlock to try to save a few steps for tasks yet to be conducted on the spacewalk, including another inspection of the contaminated starboard solar alpha rotary joint near the worksite at which they are currently operating.
05.
We copy, Peg.
Okay, so that was H2 and the little pop-up around the bolt.
Collar popped up?
Yes, the collar. Talking about. Okay, you want to do that one up there where you're at?
Yep.
Okay. That will be that is H3.
We copy, Peg. You're on H2.
3.
Correction, H3, copy.
Second.
Whitson working on a series of 3 dual latch fasteners, as they are called. These are being installed to provide the structural support for the solar array wing back onto the beta gimbal assembly now that the new broom has been installed to provide the backbone for the wing itself. Apparently there won't be enough time during the remaining minutes in this daylight pass for the crew to make its way back to the Quest airlock with the failed broom. That will have to wait until later on.
That's good copy, Peg.
Yeah, remember, if you run to the broom latch.
That's firm, Peg. Alpha 2 and drive it the rest of the turn.
Alpha.
Good copy, Alpha 2.
Alpha. Alpha.
2 hours, 50 minutes into the spacewalk, Peggy Whitson continuing to work with a pistol grip tool to fasten the remaining housing fasteners for the newly installed bearing motor roll ring module, the new component replacing the failed module that experienced a triple electrical failure back on December 8th, thus disabling the mechanism called the beta gimbal assembly from being able to operate correctly to pivot the S4 1A solar array toward the sun. All of the power connectors except one have been reconnected to the new broom, as it is called. The last power connector to be installed will be the main one, the J1 connector that provides primary power to and from the S4 solar array. That will be reconnected at about 7:25 Central Time this morning, some
sunlight here.
38 minutes from now, when the International Space Station passes back into an orbital sunset.
You bet. Okay, Peg, I am getting, and Tom, I am taking back my RET. This is the RET for the replacement broom to structure, so I'm returning that to my mini workstation.
Okay, Dan, that sounds like a good plan. Thanks.
Okay, my TGT is stowed. You guys recommend I stay in place to hand it out to Dan, or free float and hand it out to him?
We're talking Peg.
Hey, Peg?
Yeah.
Can you put this RET on it? Can you dual lean back? This is the housing RET.
And Peg, if it works in the APFR, that'd be great, but it's up to you for what works best.
What do you think, Dan? I think I can
Yeah,
probably control it
then you're
easier.
stable at least.
Yeah, okay.
Okay, hold on, let me get a better riding position. I wonder if I can present the can to you. No, it's not going to work. Okay. Stand by one, and I'll...
Okay, and I'm going to release the other rep from the handrail side.
Fine.
And, okay, so that you handed me is on the sail broom.
Okay. Why don't you let go or try to slide it out towards me?
Okay, you want that handhold first?
Yes, I guess so. Yeah.
A good look at the failed bearing motor roll ring module that will be placed inside a protective canister to be brought back inside the Quest airlock and returned to Earth.
I've got a hold on it. Okay, I see the... Looking at the 10.
Actually, okay.
There's one. The short side is there.
I don't think J3 is all the way clicked into position. I bumped it with my mini workstation trying to egress the APFR, and I turned a little bit. When
We copy you, Peg.
we do the last one, maybe we can, the connector tool, and force it a little bit further. Because it's probably made it, it's just not dropped into it. So, I'm trying to get out gently here. Bumping any.
And Dan, once you get it in position there, you can just zip the nut. We see you doing it now. And Peg, we're still talking.
Yeah, now that I'm underneath just here I can see it's not quite lined up on the J3. I don't know if you can see from my WDS, the white and the black don't exactly line up. The others, I'll have a much.
Yep, settings for me, Tom, for the center bolt. Now that I've got it zipped in.
And Peg, we're still talking before you put the connector tool on there. We just want to make sure if we have to do any safing or not first. And go ahead, Dan.
Right, understand.
Go ahead.
Yep, settings for center bolt.
For Dan, Alpha 4 clockwise 2.
Alpha 4 clock 2.
And you'll be driving it to hard stop.
Coming up on the 3-hour mark into today's spacewalk, Dan Tawney is securing the failed bearing motor roll ring module into its protective canister to be brought back into the Quest airlock. Discussions underway about Peggy Whitson going back to one of the connectors on the newly installed broom to better reseat it. That would require a safing procedure by the electrical systems officer here in Mission Control. Discussion on that still underway.
Dan, if you could say again your turns and torque.
Green light on Alpha 4. It was a 3.17, I think.
Okay, we copy. You can hand engage the housing fasteners. We'll have PGT settings when you're done with the 4 of those.
Okay, copy.
And for Peg, we will put the safing steps back in place for J3 before we have you work with that again. But we'll be able to get all that done, so we'll be go. We're about 30 minutes from the eclipse.
Okay. Well, I'm having a hard time egressing the APSR without getting too close to it in terms of I don't want to bump it loose. So I may have to have Dan rescue me.
Okay.
Because my heel's still locked in place.
And Peg, we're thinking it'll just take a few minutes. So
you want to egress that?
We're thinking it'll just take a few minutes. So.
Okay.
Peggy Whitson literally wedged inside the S5 truss, where she has been working first to remove the failed broom and to install the new component.
Copy, Dan. So your PGT settings for driving the fasteners is Alpha 2 clockwise 2.
Fasteners is Alpha 2. Alpha 2 clock 2, okay. Cross pattern.
And Dan, that's for the broom latch, the dual latch, actually. We'll finish up on the housing fasteners after you're done with those.
Okay, so broom latch, clockwise 2. Okay, copy that.
The electrical systems officer here in Mission Control reports that the J3 connector has been safed. No power flowing through that connector. That would enable Peggy Whitson to reseat it if she so desires while still inside the S5 truss.
It's about just like 2 or 3 degrees off.
Peg, the safing is complete. We'll actually ask you to use the connector tool there on the J3 to get a good connection there.
Okay, can I demate from the J1 then? Connector tool? Okay. I don't know if I could demate while it was...
Yeah, as long as you're tethered to it, you can demate the connector tool.
From J1.
Okay, H4, torque with a green light, 24 turns. That's the H4 dual latch.
While Tawny wraps up the securing of the failed broom and its canister to be brought back inside the Quest airlock, Peggy Whitson using a connector tool to reseat the J3 connector. That's one of the that's the primary data bus connector for the newly installed bearing motor roll ring module.
We copy, Peg.
That's good. No.
Thanks a lot.
And I've reattached the Canon tool to the power connector.
And Peg, we're re-energizing J3 and putting the safing back in place for J1. Thanks a lot.
So the quick use of the connector tool did the trick. The J3 connector now securely in place. We're still waiting for our entrance into an orbital sunset about 26.5 minutes from now, at which time Whitson will remate the final connector. That's the big one, the J1 connector that provides primary power to and from the S4 1A solar array.
We copy, Dan. And Peg, Dan's just got the housing fasteners to go here still, but you could remove the plug if you'd like, the Frisbee, and get that step done if you'd like. And
okay. And I got the variable DC. I told it.
Can you make that J1 with the thermal cover in place? Do you have to, in fact? If you do the cover first before the J1, I guess you do the cover first. It doesn't make any sense to put the thermal cover on.
Oh,
yeah, good idea, Dan, but we're talking about it, then probably like to get the plug first before the cover.
Yeah, okay. This is going to be easier to do in sunlight than it is in eclipse. 24.6 on H3, green light. 0.8. So I'm ready for housing fastness, I think.
Okay, I've got the plug associated that.
Copy, Peg. And Dan, your PGT setting is alpha 5 clockwise 2.
Setting is 5.2. Okay, alpha 5 clock 2. Perfect.
Copy. 9.5 to 11.5 turns, and you'll be doing this in an X pattern.
Right.
And I'm removing the wrap from the MLI that was holding it back.
Copy, Peg. Thanks.
H7, 6.7 turns, green light.
Copy, Dan.
H6, or H9. They use the letter H to read it backwards, upside down, same as it does.
Yeah, I know, I understand.
Hey, Tom, where are we right now, Earth?
We're over the southern tip of Africa now.
Wherever it is, cloud free.
Over the southern tip of Africa now.
Oh, that must be Cape Town. And, yes, oh, that's beautiful. Cape Town, and I see the eastern shore of South Africa. Beautiful cloud-free day, and then we're going right over the western coast, South Africa. Beautiful red and black colors.
Okay, and I've picked up the rest from handrail 2112. So I currently have on my mini workstation is for 5 reps. One for my PPC also. And I can find my DRT again.
You had it last time I saw you. Okay, the H2, I'm sorry, H6, this is the real 6, H6, fastener 7.6 turns and green light. Final one is
3 hours, 5 minutes into the spacewalk. Dan Tawny's helmet camera providing a panoramic view as he completes the installation of the failed broom into its canister. On the right side of your screen, Peggy Whitson taking a break from her activities, emerging from inside the S5 truss where she worked And now you see her perspective from her helmet camera, and a good look at the newly installed bearing motor roll ring module, the broom that's back inside the beta gimbal assembly housing, awaiting one final connection, the J1 connector, the primary power connector, to be hooked up once we move back into an orbital sunset about 22 minutes from now. The International Space Station passing over South Africa, moving from southwest to northeast, soon to cross the equator as it skirts up the east coast of the continent of Africa.
And Dan, when you get back to the APFR site, before you work with that, if we can get a glove inspection from you, that'd be great. We'll probably be asking for more frequent inspections from you.
You bet.
We'll probably be asking.
Sure. Okay, no problem.
The International Space Station, and this panoramic view down the starboard truss of the complex as the International Outpost flies 215 statute miles over the southern tip of South America. Dan Tawney moving back toward the Solar Alpha rotary joint on the starboard side, the right side of the truss, to join Peggy Whitson for the start of the SARGE inspection work, the collection of debris samples, and digital photography under 2 double-wide covers and perhaps, if time permits, up to 10 single-wide covers.
How are your feet going by, Dan?
I'm looking for you. Oh, you're down there. You're... Sure, that was the whole agreement. Right.
We copy, Peg. We have PGT settings when you're ready.
Yeah, Dan. The whole plan was to get you to clean up.
And Peggy,
Okay,
do you want to
ready for PGT.
copy? We want to confirm you've tethered to the cover. Is that right?
Oh, not yet. I can do that. Cover number. Okay, cover 18. That is good.
Copy, Peg.
These settings, I'm ready.
PGT is Alpha 6, counterclockwise 2. Be for the inboard fasteners, 9 turns. And while you're doing that, I've got a warning to read to you.
The PGT settings are referred to by Capcom Tom Marshburn. Pistol grip tool settings, as Peggy Whitson will be releasing the inboard thermal cover fasteners from the thermal cover that surrounds the circumference of the Solar Alpha rotary joint. Again, the joint is designed to rotate the solar arrays in a Ferris wheel fashion so that they're always pointed toward the sun as the International Space Station orbits the Earth. They can move in a 360-degree fashion when operating normally, either forward or backward, depending on the position of the sun relative to the International Space Station. The SARGE experienced high electrical motor currents back in the September timeframe, due now, it is known, to contamination and debris in the outboard race ring.
And Peg, just so you know, the ends of the springs may protrude, and they captive EVA fastener a sharp edge there. And also avoid any contact with exposed sharp edges during the cover removal and the inspection. And we'll be limiting the turn count to 9, minimize the side loading of the bolt head, and maintain an axial force on the fastener to compress the spring during rotation.
Understand. Stop that.
And Dan, if we can get a glove inspection from you, that'd be great.
Oh Oh, yeah, that's right. I'm sorry. Okay. Left, no issues. Same as before. Nice love and right. The same. No issues. Same as before.
We copy, Dan. Thanks.
Good gloves.
We copy, Dan. Thanks.
Yeah, I would trade a dozen glove sections for putting those back on. Or putting them on in the first place, actually. My 2 cents.
For your top depth, working on 4.
Copy, Peg.
Four, up.
And Peg, if we
We did this last time.
if we can get a glove inspection from you as well, that'd be great.
Left hand, same as before, just that one little spot RTV. Just between my first finger and thumb. And a little bit of RTV, tiny bit on my right hand, on my first single knuckle.
Copy, Peg.
No damage to the back and below. I think last time we were tethering the end rail away from us was off my main workstation. I still got 2 bolts in. I'm going to move the tether.
We copy.
Bring him back.
And Dan, you'll be putting the APFR back in the CETA width that you took it from. That's width 5, and putting it in a
Same location?
yeah,
Okay.
in a low profile setting.
Okay.
Without touching pitch.
Yeah. Okay. Low profile setting.
That means you can put it wherever you want.
I guess, yeah.
It does.
And for Peg and Dan, we believe you're clear of the array, so we'll be checking out the BGA movement.
Great. Fantastic.
Working on 5 at 6 after moving my tether to structure.
We copy, Peg.
Commands in the process of being sent by the electrical systems officer to drive the beta gimbal assembly to pivot the solar arrays toward the sun in the final verification test of the newly installed bearing motor roll ring module that provides the motorized capability for the beta gimbal assembly to drive against the axis of the array and tilt or pivot the arrays to follow the sun. Whitson and Tawney now approaching the 4.5-hour mark in today's spacewalk.
Okay, Tom, clocking the double line is at the 3, which means I think it's at the 9. Single line's at the 9, so clocking of 9, and then should be the same, November, Golf 3.
That's a good call, Dan, and we copy. Thanks a lot.
No problem, thank you.
And you're go to move on back to help Peg with the SARG work.
You bet.
This view from Peggy Whitson's helmet camera showing her use of the pistol grip tool as she...
We're interested in your general impression of the backside with the comparison from previous covers you've seen, and also how it falls as to being the dirtiest or the cleanest or in between somewhere.
Okay.
The thermal blanket over double wide cover 18 being removed by Whitson.
So color. Back side of the cover is absolutely no debris. This TDA has actually relatively little debris on it compared to most of the others. I would compare it to ones that were like on the 3 o'clock side, the aft side that we saw before. And then there's only one spot of magnetic debris hanging on to the skirt. And one dongle has a really relatively large chunk of debris on it, but I bet you it'll break apart when I touch it. But might be worth taping, trying to tape that big, large piece. The debris, the damage to the canted surface is exactly what we saw before. And some lighter areas and darker areas, mottled kind of surface. The inner, the datum surfaces kind of have a dusty debris on, actually it's more so on the datum surface, which is inboard. Maybe during the inspection we were doing with the SFRMS, we cleaned off some of the debris on the datum surface, the outboard datum A surface. Does that make sense, guys? Would that be logical? Seems to be true. Don't tell me we're LOS.
Yeah. I hear you. If you are there, Tom, cover 1, is that what you remember, Peg? Cover 1?
Yes.
Yeah.
And Houston,
Go ahead, Peg.
Tom check.
Yeah, Peg, we're talking about your comments here. And we understand you're looking for the outboard datum A surface if it's cleaner than the previous inspection. And Dan, it is cover 1 you're working for.
Okay. I'm there.
For situational awareness, Whitson removing cover number 18 is at the 6 o'clock position as you look outboard on the S3 truss on the Sarge itself. Tawny, looking at cover 1, is at about the 8 o'clock position.
We copy, Peg.
And we want to try and take a tape sample of the big chunk dongle.
And Peg, we're looking for a photo of the backside of the cover there, and either order you want to do, but if we get the photo first, that'd be great, and then the tape sample would be good.
Okay, and you said on the backside of the cover, or of the TBA and the surface?
We copy, Peg, stand by.
2.
Okay. And can I confirm here that there's a wreck from the flash cam?
There's a wreck from the what?
Flash camera to the crew lock bed?
There is a...
A wreck?
Yeah, there should, yes. It's on the bottom. It's on that little thing on the bottom. Yes, I can see it. It goes under the camera, under the strap, and to the inside. So yes, there is a wreck.
Okay, so I can take off the adjustables and not have to worry about it.
And Peg, we'd like to get some photos from you before we get a tape sample of the debris. We need the back side of the MLI cover,
Okay.
the trundle bearing, the outboard race ring datum A, and a photo of the debris itself as well.
I don't know that we've ever taken a photo of the back of the cover before. That would be a new requirement.
And Dan, yeah, we see that as a new addition here as well.
Okay.
With or without flash? That was a question. Would you like flash?
I don't know if they know that's a question. And Tom, settings for panel?
And Peg, that is with the flash. And come again, Dan, with your question.
Okay.
Panel, PGT settings for panel.
Okay, Dan, that's alpha 6, counterclockwise 2. And Dan, while you're working there, just a reminder on the sharp edges, the ends of the springs may protrude, and so the captive EVA fasteners may present a sharp edge, and avoid contact with any sharp edges during the cover removal and the rest of the SARS inspection.
Okay, I understand. Okay, and so it's 9 turns as I remember, limit to 9, and I'm tethered to it. I'm looking at cover number 1, TBA 6.
That's all a good readback. Yep, limit the turn count to 9, minimize side loading of the bolt head, and maintain the axial force on the fastener to compress the spring.
Tawny in the process of removing the thermal cover over double cover number 1, adjacent to where Peggy Whitson has already removed the cover over double cover number 18, as she begins to take 35mm photography with a flash to capture high-resolution imagery of the outer canted surface, the outboard race ring surface, the inner canted surface called the datum A surface on the inside of the gear teeth to the outboard race ring. Photography also will be made of the trundle bearing assemblies. There are 12 around the circumference of the Sarge that hold the inboard and outboard race rings together.
Okay, the 2 left-hand bolts are released, going to the right-hand bolt.
We copy, Dan. And Peg, while you're working, we also need the entire exposed outer canted surface of the outboard race ring at a normal incidence from the surface.
Okay. Mark. Normal to the kid.
two right hands on cover one are removed with the middle.
Copy, Dan.
Okay. Those photos are complete, and I think approximately 18.
A good look under double wide cover 18 that Peggy Whitson is currently examining.
The tape sample, and you're cutting in and out just a little bit.
At the top is the outboard race ring, the inboard race ring at the bottom, and on the left side of the exposed area is trundle bearing assembly number 3, holding the two race rings structurally together.
And Peg, we'll just need the number of the tape that you're using, and you're still cutting in and out a little bit.
Okay, copy. I'll try and get a little closer. One mic a little further away from my house. Yeah.
And Dan, we're looking for general comments as well compared to what you've seen before, as well as the how you compare it in terms of dirtiest or cleanest that you've seen, where it falls in between.
Okay, sure. This falls in between. The amount of debris on the actual TBA is relatively light. The damaged surface, of course, still damaged. This has some. I don't know that I've seen these before. Well, it's this. I think it's where we've talked about this before. The two inserts, two big inserts that looks like a TBA could bolt there. Might be. Oh, these were the launch locks. Launch locks bolted there. And I guess I've never noticed these little, looks like plastic. Maybe they're rivets. Oh, those are rivet heads. Okay. So anyway, there's some debris kind of stuck to the rivet heads. But I would say in general it's relatively clean. The data main surface on the inboard side, there's a little debris, dusting, and kind of hard. Data main on the outboard surface is relatively clean.
So you agree with me then that I think that surface is than it was last time?
It's cleaner, did you say?
Yeah, I thought maybe it was cleaner than last time.
Maybe, from the rolling around. I mean, it's hard to say. It's still just a light dusting. So let me go get a camera and I'll take some pictures, I guess. Is that what you want, Tom?
We copy, Dan. Yeah, go ahead and get pictures of the back side of the cover, and we'll have some other things for you here, too. I'll read them off to you.
I bent the tape and knocked it all off.
All the debris.
I had this one large chunk, but it was still all minute pieces, all
It's like a piece of
packed
dust,
together,
right?
yeah.
Like that dusty...
What tape number do you have there,
the
Peg?
clip's working.
Good. I have tape number 41.
41, copy, thanks.
Okay.
And Peg, what was that sample from? Is that from the outer canted or off the joggle?
That was the jungle that had the large piece of debris on it. Would you like the outer canted too?
That's firm, Peg. We would like that.
Do you want the camera then?
Yeah, I was gonna get the other camera,
Oh, okay.
but I might as well use it. I'll take the Beast.
Want the Beast?
No, not really, but it's route, so I'll still use it.
It works okay.
This is Mission Control Houston, 4 hours, 44 minutes into the spacewalk. While Whitson and Tony collect samples of debris using Kapton tape under two double-wide covers on the solar alpha rotary joint on the starboard side of the International Space Station, the electrical systems officer reports that the electronics control unit has been activated associated with the beta gimbal assembly for the new beta bearing motor roll ring module that was installed earlier today. Several commands away from unlatching the beta gimbal assembly to begin a test rotation of the beta gimbal assembly and to verify the full functionality of the new broom that was installed several hours ago.
And Peg, when you're ready, you go to reinstall the cover.
Okay, I haven't got a tape sample of the camping system. Still want that?
Copy, yeah, we sure do. Thanks.
Four Koreans on cover 22.
Dan, we have you doing cover 21, and we're discussing the order here.
Okay, 21 next is what I understand.
That's firm, Dan. And for Peg, we have you continuing zenith from the aft side over to cover 3. That's the next cover in our priority.
Okay.
So you'll be just zenith of Dan.
As the crew continues their inspection of the mechanisms under the covers of the solar alpha rotary joint, the electrical systems officer here in Mission Control reports that we have good latching of the beta gimbal assembly for the S41A solar array. The latches will be commanded to unlatch once again, and then the array will be rotated 360 degrees to complete the test of its full functionality with a new bearing motor roll ring module doing the driving of that beta gimbal assembly to once again point the array toward the sun.
I've got my tether, I've got the screw lock bag, I've got the camera, and And tell me my cover number.
And Peg, you'll be moving over to cover number 3. It's just zenith of Dan.
It's just
There you are.
Yep. Okay, it's running. That's sure.
Alpha Houston on 2.
Not for embryos right here.
Yeah,
Have to go to the other side.
Yeah, that was a hard place to work for me right there.
Go ahead, Houston.
Jerry, we're curious if you had a chance to reboot the file server yet.
So you want me to reboot?
That's when we do want a reboot of the file server, please.
we do want a reboot of the file server, please.
Okay. I'll do that.
Copy, thanks.
I've got a tether on cover 3.
We copy, Peg.
Okay, cover 21. Got those pictures of the backside of the cover.
We copy, Dan. We see you taking pictures now.
I'm sorry, can you say removal settings again?
Yeah, Peggy, the remove settings are alpha 6 counterclockwise 2.
Alpha 6 counterclock. Set.
Okay, so under 21, it looks the same as the other ones that we've done. So the datum surface A on the inboard, dusting, actually some clumping, couple flakes, and then in the datum A of the outboard, it looks like it has dusting, but also it looks like there's obviously the roller rolling over it, so it looks a little bit cleaner. The damaged surface is the same, typical as everywhere else, and there's some magnetic debris along the the launch fastener brackets. Joggles look clean. No significant accumulation on the joggles, and the skirt looks clean.
Dan, we're copying all. How about the gear teeth?
Gear teeth, some debris on the inboard gear teeth. Just a dusting. Looks just like, it's, since it's not moving, typical of the datum A on the inboard, and then on the outboard, a bit dusting, a little bit of debris, a couple flakes stuck to the side of it, not on the bearing surface, but on the side of the teeth. Can't really see much debris on the teeth themselves, the bearing surface of the teeth.
The 4 bolts out, cover 3 road, it's 15 back, no damage, no ding, no flaking.
We copy Peg, and Dan will need a tape sample from you as well. The outer canted surface of the outboard.
Outer canted, okay.
And in and around this rail line, I can see the canted surface is the same as what we've seen before, mottled, some shiny, some dull. There's actually, I would probably say, a bit less debris under here. I would say this is probably one of the least amount of debris I've seen. In terms of on the jungles, on the skirts, there is still, the dusting on the datum A surface inboard. Some dusting on the outboard, not as much. Lighting's not very good, it's kind of hard to tell on that one. I can get down. And there is a small amount of dust on the teeth. I would say a little bit more on the outboard and on the inboard. This time it look a little cleaner.
We're copying Peg, and we're about a minute and a half out from a 20-second handover.
Any other specific questions? Did I miss anything?
Negative, Peg. That was good. We'll just need photos from you and a tape sample. And photos of the...
Okay, the photos...
Yes.
I'll try and get what I can around this structure, but it's that cedar rail.
Houston Station on 2450.
Okay.
The launch, that's the nadir, let's see, where are we? Venus. Rail, yeah.
Alpha Houston on 2, we're listening to Yuri.
Question about file server. They need to enter username and password. There is instruction that I don't have to do that.
Gary, we copied your question. All we need is for you to hit the button to power it off, wait a few seconds and power it on. Just the power cycle is all we need.
Okay, I did that, and it's still no OSTPV.
Load in trash bag.
Copy, Peg. And if now is a good stopping point for you guys, we'd like to get an alpha check from you. We're also one command away from trying to move the BGA. We'd like for you to have a chance to watch that when you're ready.
Cool. Dan, still a Bravo?
Yeah, Bravo.
We copy. Let's get a glove inspection from you first.
Okay.
I'm a little dust here from the debris that was collecting on the roof, but no change in the RTV. That's about the floor. I have to revise that. Just a little bit more RTV loss on right first knuckle.
And for Dan, yeah, I'm getting a little bit more separation on the left glove, RTV forefinger at the inner where it meets the edge, where it meets the back of the finger. But that's just peeling back a little bit. And no damage underneath, and then it's about the same at the thumb. But other than that, no change. Just a little dirtier.
And Peg and Dan, we're 6 hours into it now. We figure it's going to take another half an hour to do another cover and then another half an hour to clean up the work site and get ready for ingress. Our consumables are good, but wanted to get a feedback from you if you'd like to do another cover. And also, when you're ready, we're ready to move the BGA.
Ready on the BGA. I could do another cover.
Copy. And concur.
Taking a picture of our handiwork.
Are you? Oh, let me get these bolts in, and then I'll.
Yeah, yours would be a better camera. Get a bigger.
Right. I'm gonna get them started. Double cover, single covers are hard. Get the bolts started.
And Peg and Dan, we're getting the next cover locations for you. Meanwhile, we're going to start the BGA motion.
Cool. Okay.
hard to tell when you're moving over the... Ah, I haven't seen it moving.
Say that again?
Yep.
This is Mission Control Houston. The electrical systems officer here in Mission Control reports that the beta gimbal assembly is now rotating. The intent is to complete a full rotation of the BGA, being driven now by the new motor, the new broom that was installed to replace the failed bearing motor roll ring module earlier in the spacewalk.
All right, because
You can see where it's changing angle. Hey, it works.
green lights on cover 21. Can't let get a view of this.
We copy, Dan.
More news on the beta gimbal assembly. All of the circuit breakers that tripped back on December 8th are closed. All electrical currents are normal. Good operation by the new broom that was installed by Whitson and Tawney earlier today.
And Dan, just so you know, from our data down here, that motion is good. The currents and rates are good. Also, the three switches that popped open a couple months ago are now closed and staying closed, the primary backup and control. So we're looking good so far.
Excellent.
Excellent.
Good
Outstanding.
to hear.
So awesome work, you guys. And
Isn't that cool?
Awesome work, you guys.
And Peggy, just above you is
Actually, awesome work goes to all the
Yeah.
guys.
Yeah,
goes
really.
to all the guys on the ground. It was a lot more work for them than
Yeah.
us. Really appreciate it.
we copy the good words. Thanks a lot. And just above you, Peggy, is cover 4. That'd be your next cover. And Dan, if you translate nadir, you can do 16 or 17. That's the aft nadir single covers there. Either one is your call.
16 or 17. Okay.
Okay, I'm doing cover 4. Guess I'll put cover... I got this guy.
A good view of the rotation of the beta gimbal assembly for the S4 solar arrays, again being driven by the new bearing motor roll ring module that was installed in the beta gimbal assembly housing as the major task of today's spacewalk by Whitson and Tawney. We are now at the 6-hour mark in today's spacewalk. Whitson and Tawney in the home stretch of inspecting under single covers on the Solar Alpha rotary joint, the other component on the starboard side of the International Space Station that bears attention now as the full functionality of the starboard rotational mechanisms for the solar arrays on the International Space Station continue. We expect that one more cover will be examined, the mechanisms under one additional cover. That should bring us to the end of the spacewalk with the cleanup. We probably will be in excess of 7 hours today. We'll be standing by for an expected timetable for the beginning of the cleanup work by Whitson and Tawney as they move back toward the Quest airlock, move back inside, place their spacesuits on space station power, and then begin the repressurization of the Quest airlock to mark the official end of today's excursion.
I'm installing cover 4.
Alpha 1.
We copy, Peg. You're installing cover 1.
Cover 3.
And we didn't copy your last, Peg.
Cover 3 is being reinstalled.
Cover 3, copy. That's Alpha 1, clockwise 2.
Okay, copy. Clockwise 2 steps.
Okay, cover 17 is what I'll work on, and it's tethered. Alpha 6, counterclockwise 2.
We copy, Dan, and that's a good copy on the PGT.
Okay, Tom, tape sample 11 is the outboard launch lock bracket under cover 17.
We copy, Dan. And Dan, then you go for the cover install.
Okay, great, thanks.
This is Mission Control Houston, 6 hours, 15 minutes into the spacewalk. Peggy Whitson and Dan Tawney wrapping up the inspection. That analysis will be ongoing for some time to come. But today was a comprehensive data collection exercise by the astronauts, the fourth such inspection that has spanned 4 spacewalks dating back to Dan Tawney, teamed up with Scott Parazinski during the STS-120 mission back in October.
We can call you off that at this time. Thanks a lot.
Okay, sure.
The Solar Alpha rotary joint inspection followed the installation of a brand new motor into the beta gimbal assembly, driving the starboard 4 solar arrays. That so-called broom, or the bearing motor roll ring module, the motor that drives the beta gimbal assembly to enable the arrays to point properly toward the sun, to pivot toward the sun, to collect energy. It failed due to a trio of electrical failures back on December 8th, thus disabling the beta gimbal assembly from operating normally. Today, the new broom was installed, a spare that had been carried on board for the past 6 years. The new broom was installed in the beta gimbal assembly in rather swift fashion by Whitson and Tawney, operating in tight quarters around the S5 truss. It was conducted, the installation was conducted in a very carefully choreographed manner so that work on electrical connectors carrying over 200 amps and 160 volts would be conducted during night passes to minimize the potential for any electrical shock to the crew members. The operation was very smooth, uneventful. The new broom slid into its canister in the beta gimbal assembly housing in very facile fashion, and as a result, the on-orbit checkout is continuing, but the bottom line is that the beta gimbal assembly is operating normally now and is in the process of completing a 360-degree rotation with all motor currents, all electrical signatures, and all circuit breakers and remote bus isolators that transfer power to the battery charge discharge units. All of the components that experienced electrical trips back on December 8th to initiate the problem have now been solved. We have a functional beta gimbal assembly thanks to the installation of the new broom today. The crew wrapping up their SARG inspection, they will press ahead to begin their cleanup work at their worksite locations along the starboard truss of the International Space Station.
I'm on the seat.
Okay. I'm in the crew lock. I'm kind of squished up. I think I have a pretty good position.
At the hatch.
Here.
And let's see, on my workstation I have 3 reps, unadjustable, prioritized, and on my PGT, 6 inches on the PGT, 2 inches on the socket caddy, and I have a trash bag too. And on VRT, I have got 1 rack, and I put the other adjustable on the crew lock bag. So then, is a ret to.
Oh, sorry.
A ret. A ret for the camera?
Yeah, I do. Stand by.
And Peg, we copy. We're counting rets and tethers now.
Okay, so when I look at what I've got, Tom, I have what I went out with, which is 3 rets. They can release the cameras.
Okay.
3 rets on my workstation, on my T-bar, 1 on my PTT, 1 on my BRT, and then I've got the crew lock bag, which has 3 adjustables on the outside of it, which is what we went out with.
then I transferred all those RETs and adjustables that I had on that were different from what I got now. I think it was 3 RETs and 2 adjustables went inside the crew lock bag after the broom passed.
So the delta of what you have on you now is what went into the crew lock bag?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. Because I'm staff.
And Peg, in our count, we were missing 3 RETs off of your mini workstation, but we understand that you've put those in the crew lock bag. Is that right?
That's correct. 3 RETs and 2 adjustables were off of me into the crew lock bag. I'm sorry, I thought I would explain that as I was going along, because I had way too many on me to be able to do the storage test.
Okay, we copy. If we can get your go for ingress into the airlock.
Okay. On my way in.
See how small I can see over here.
A good view of Whitson and Tawney re-entering the Quest airlock. The outer thermal cover flap will be closed, followed by the hatch itself. The crew then will place their suits on internal umbilical power through the crew lock systems, and the repressurization of the airlock will begin to mark the end to the 101st spacewalk in support of space station assembly and maintenance, and the 6th spacewalk in the careers of Peggy Whitson and Dan Tawney.
Ingress.
Magnet field and the Velcro is safe, Tom. MLI cover is closed.
We copy, Peg, and you've attached the Velcro strap, correct?
That is correct. That's
Copy,
correct.
you're both go to connect the SCU to the DCM and check the SCU is locked. DCM.
Isn't too big, just about 17,000 folks out on the prairie 70 miles southwest of Fort Worth. Until the past few days, milk was what made it famous. All that changed when several dozen residents looked up and saw a UFO more than once.
It kind of is the talk of the town right now.
Being the front page story and all, Angela has been pretty busy interviewing locals who swear, big as it wasn't from Texas.
It was very intense, bright lights. I keep hearing that over and over and over, and they spanned a wide area.
It's so fast when it took off, you know, and it made not a sound.
Rick Sorrells led a camera crew through the woods to where he saw it. It was up there, above the trees.
And I did just like this, and I could see it. And if you look at the trees, you know, it's right here. I mean, it's 300 foot up, right here.
A pilot and a constable back up Ricky's story of what he saw out there in the woods. The U.S. Air Force says it was just an illusion. But maybe the visitors read what the town posted on its website. If you're looking for a small town community, you found one of the best.
Well, some residents are saying today that
They saw U.S. fighter jets chasing that UFO.
That's right, but on the other hand, the military said it had no planes anywhere near Stephenville at the time and that it was most likely just a large airliner, not a UFO.
As primary follows primary, the candidates are all afraid of losing their voices. CNN's Jeannie Most is feeling their pain, and it's most unusual.
With her voice,
can I get some lozenge or something?
Hillary Clinton put the horse into the presidential horse race. Remember back when she told New Hampshire voters she listened to them?
I found my own voice.
Yeah, well, then she lost it.
Go ahead.
And Hillary's not alone.
Let me apologize for my voice.
You haven't gone to bed yet? My goodness.
Excuse me, I've been a little under the weather.
For those who remain in the race, losing their voice is nothing to sneeze at. Barack Obama had a doctor come to his hotel room in New Hampshire to check out his throat.
So I asked a doctor yesterday what they would prescribe, and they said, shut up. So I can't do that.
And Hillary couldn't do it leading up to Super Tuesday.
This comes and goes.
It really came while she was doing an interview with a San Francisco TV station.
How will you use your husband, Bill Clinton, in the administration? We assume he won't.
The coughing fit got coughed up on YouTube.
You know what, I won't hold you on here any longer because you probably could use some water there. Senator, thank you. Hillary Clinton live from New York.
Just barely live. Hardcore Hillary haters suggested the coughing fit was contrived to avoid answering questions. A theory that's enough to make us choke.
You sound a little froggy. Are you coming down with a thing?
Every New Yorker has a sore throat after last night.
From cheering the Super Bowl champion Giants, Bill Clinton was always talking himself hoarse.
I may have lost my voice, but with your help, on Tuesday, we will win a new day for America.
The Wall Street Journal reported Bill's throat specialist used to make him hum to reduce vocal strain. John McCain takes a tablespoon of olive oil. Of course, reporters aren't immune.
Suzanne, what might have happened?
CNN's Suzanne Malveaux had a coughing attack while covering Barack Obama. Dr. Wolf to the rescue.
I want you to drink a little water. All right, clear your throat, take a deep breath.
Those on Hillary Clinton's press plane describe it as a hotbed of colds and flu, Typhoid Mary. And imagine all the germs exchanged during all that handshaking and hugging. So, candidates, suck those cough drops, wipe your nose. Only 9 months left until Election Day. Forget Decision 08. Make way for Infection 08. Jeannie Mo, CNN, New York.
Hallo und willkommen zu Nano. Asteroid 2007 TU24 ist vergangene Woche knapp an der Erde vorbeigerast, wobei knapp relativ ist. Der Gesteinsbrocken war nicht mal so nah an der Erde dran wie der Mond. Dennoch löst die Vorstellung, dass so ein Objekt auf der Erde einschlägt, bei vielen Unbehagen aus. 250 Meter groß war der Durchmesser. Das hätte ausgereicht, um hier unten enorme Verwüstungen anzurichten. Die Meteoriten, die jeden Tag in unsere Atmosphäre eindringen, sind dann noch harmlos dagegen, wobei der Meteorit, der jetzt in der Antarktis gefunden wurde, hat es auch in sich, wie Geowissenschaftler heute erklärt haben.
31 Kilogramm schwer ist der Eisenmeteorit und damit das Prunkstück der Antarktis-Expedition der Bundesanstalt für Geowissenschaften und Rohstoffe aus Hannover. Im Queen Maud Land in einer Höhe von knapp 2400 Metern entdeckten die Polarforscher dieses außergewöhnliche Stück aus dem All.
Es ist schon wirklich ein ungewöhnlicher Fund, denn wenn wir auf die letzten 20 Jahre zurückblicken, da sind im Prinzip nur 2 Meteoriten von der Größenordnung gefunden worden. Was wir normalerweise finden, sind Meteoriten in der Gewichtsklasse von wenigen Gramm, 20, 30 Gramm, nicht mehr.
5 Wochen verbrachten die Geologen an diesem unwirtlichen Platz in der Antarktis. Kein Mensch war hier je zuvor. 35 Grad minus in der Nacht und Stürme mit 11 Windstärken, keine Seltenheit. Gezielt sucht die Lille nach Meteoriten. Dass es in diesem Bereich der Antarktis welche gibt, war seine These.
Wenn wir uns die Meteoritenkonzentrationen in der Antarktis ansehen, dann liegen die alle im Bereich von 2000 bis 2400 Meter Höhe über Meeresspiegel. Und wir haben uns die Ostantarktis sehr genau angesehen. Ich habe vorher gesagt, dass das Gebiet, was wir dann besuchen werden, dass dort eigentlich Meteoriten liegen müssten. Und wir sind hingefahren, ausgestiegen, das Camp aufgemacht und am nächsten Tag sind wir losmarschiert aufs Blaueis. Und siehe da, da lag auch schon der erste Meteorit. Das war natürlich sehr erfreulich.
Das Interessante an dem Meteoriten ist für Delisle aber nicht seine Beschaffenheit oder seine Herkunft.
Unser Kerninteresse an diesen Meteoriten ist herauszufinden, seit wann sie auf der Erdoberfläche sind. Das ist das sogenannte terrestrische Alter. Und dieses Datum, das binden wir dann ein in unsere Vorstellungen, wie sich der Eisschild der Ostantarktis verändert hat im Laufe der Zeit, insbesondere im Klimawandel, im Wandel von Kalt- und Warmzeiten.
Nach ersten Schätzungen liegt der Meteorit rund 2 Millionen Jahre auf der Erde. Er stammt wahrscheinlich aus dem Asteroidengürtel im Bereich zwischen Mars und Jupiter. Genaueres müssen jetzt weitere Untersuchungen zeigen.
Für die europäische Weltraummission Columbus soll jetzt endlich der Countdown beginnen. Das Forschungslabor soll ja verschiedene Experimente im All durchführen. Zum Beispiel, wie sich die Schwerelosigkeit auf den Muskelabbau auswirkt. Nach mehreren fehlgeschlagenen Versuchen soll die US-Raumfähre Atlantis ja nun tatsächlich an diesem Donnerstag starten und das Weltraumlabor Columbus mit ins All transportieren. 50 Jahre Raumfahrt liegen dann schon hinter den Amerikanern.
Die Atlantis ist ein Auslaufmodell, aber sie wird noch gebraucht. 10-mal sollen die Raumfähre noch starten und die internationale Raumstation fertig bauen. Danach ist Schluss und die Atlantis ist die erste, die stillgelegt und ausgeschlachtet wird.
Wir haben einen Fehler gemacht beim Shuttle, dass wir bemannte Flüge und Cargo-Flüge in ein Gerät integriert haben. Und dadurch musste auch die Cargo-Flüge mussten man-rated sein, das heißt für sicheren Flug gebaut werden, was unnötig ist, wenn man nur Cargo an Bord hat. Wir haben daraus gelernt und haben das wieder getrennt.
Die neue Mondrakete der NASA heißt Ares und sie soll schon im nächsten Jahr ihren ersten Testflug absolvieren. Es wird sie in 2 Versionen geben, eine bemannte mit einer Kapsel für die Astronauten an der Spitze und eine Lastenversion. Die bemannte Ares 1 ist schlank wie eine Silvesterrakete, eine Kombination aus bewährten und neuen Elementen. Die neue Generation der Mondraketen erinnert ja sehr an das alte Apollo-Programm. Was wird sich denn technisch ändern?
Auf der einen Seite haben wir alle unsere Unterlagen. Wir wissen heute die Mathematik, die Physik, die Chemie des Mondfluges. Wir müssen nur die Technik neu entwickeln, denn der technische Fortschritt hat uns neue Möglichkeiten gegeben, neue Elektronik, neue Werkstoffe, die leichter sind und zäher sind. Allerdings können wir von dem existierenden Besitzgut vom Space Shuttle her einiges verwenden und da wird Maximum Gebrauch davon gemacht, um die Kosten niedrig zu halten.
Das Maß aller Dinge ist immer noch die gute alte Saturn V Mondrakete. Heute existieren nur noch 2 Originalexemplare, kostbare Museumsstücke, die an die glorreiche Zeit der Apollo-Missionen erinnern. Zwischen 1967 und 1973 sind 13 Saturn V-Raketen in die Erdumlaufbahn und zum Mond geschossen worden. Endlose Startverschiebungen und Pannen wie beim Space Shuttle gab es nie bei der Saturn V. In Zukunft werden Personen und Lasten getrennt ins All transportiert. Die kompakte Ares 5 und die schlanke Ares 1 werden kurz hintereinander starten. Die Ares 5 Cargo-Rakete hat die Mondlandefähre und das Mondauto an Bord. Die Ares 1 bringt die Orion-Kapsel mit den Astronauten. Erst in der Erdumlaufbahn werden beide für den Weiterflug zum Mond verkoppelt. Für die Wissenschaft ist der Mond wie ein offenes Buch, in dem man die Geschichte der Entstehung des Sonnensystems lesen kann. Astronomen wünschen sich Radioteleskope auf seiner Rückseite, um ungestört ins Universum hineinhorchen zu können. Eines Tages könnte der Mond ein gemeinsamer Forschungsplatz der Menschheit werden, wie heute die Antarktis.
Wir Ingenieure brauchen den Mond als Zwischenstation zum Mars. Nicht so sehr, um dann von dort zum Mars zu starten, das würden wir nicht machen, aber um die Technik zu entwickeln, fern von der Erde. Die Selbstständigkeit, die die Astronauten eines Tages auf dem Mars brauchen, schon einmal zu versuchen.
Die NASA bereitet sich auf die Rückkehr zum Mond vor, ganz konkret mit allem, was dazugehört. Vom Mondanzug bis zur Kapsel für eine Besatzung von 4 bis 6 Astronauten.
Um das Jahr 2015 herum werden wir wieder größere bemannte Missionen zum Mond durchführen. Unser Ziel ist es, dort für immer länger werdende Zeiträume zu leben und zu arbeiten.
Der Geburtsfehler des Apollo-Programms war seinerzeit, dass man in erster Linie schnell zum Mond wollte, um die Russen zu überholen. Aber es gab kein Konzept, was man dort eigentlich tun wollte. Die meisten Mondastronauten waren tollkühne Militärpiloten und keine Wissenschaftler. Nur ein einziger Forscher, ein Geologe, war beim letzten Apollo-Flug dabei. Nach 6 Landungen auf dem Mond war irgendwie die Luft raus. Sang- und klanglos wurde das Apollo-Programm eingestellt. Alles, was sich während der Apollo-Flüge bewährt hat, soll jetzt wieder zu Ehren kommen. Auch die Landung am Fallschirm, so wie es vor der Ära der Space Shuttles üblich war und wie es die Russen seit 50 Jahren erfolgreich vormachen. Wird es wieder einen Wettlauf zum Mond geben, wie zu Zeiten von Apollo?
Es wird ein Wettbewerbsdenken geben in den Medien, in der Öffentlichkeit. Aber die Politik auf der Erde dreht sich nicht mehr darum, jemanden Angst einzuflößen oder stärkere Muskeln zu zeigen. Damit beweist man ja niemandem was.
Ohnehin ist die NASA nach dem Ende der Space Shuttles auf die Russen angewiesen. Denn für mindestens 3-4 Jahre werden dann auch amerikanische Astronauten nur in russischen Soyuz-Kapseln zur internationalen Raumstation mitfliegen können.
Good morning. This is Mission Control Houston with live coverage of the docking of the Progress 28 unpiloted cargo carrier to the International Space Station. Progress 28 is close to within about 200 yards of the International Space Station and has begun a fly around that body. The approach to the station has gone smoothly. Earlier tests of the manual docking system, the backup Toru system, was completed successfully. And now we're seeing live downlink from cameras on board the Progress, looking at the International Space Station. The 2 spacecraft are over the central Atlantic Ocean. They're just crossing the coast of Africa as we begin our commentary. This view on NASA television shows the Progress 28 just as the 2 spacecraft are going over the coast of Africa. And this fly around is going to take a bit of time. We're still expecting docking pretty much as planned, just about 8:38 a.m. Central Time today. The Progress was launched to the International Space Station on Tuesday from the Baikonur Cosmodrome in Kazakhstan. It has on board 2.5 tons of fuel, air, water, propellant, and other supplies. The Progress will use the automated Kurs docking system as it approaches and docks to the International Space Station. And flight engineer Yuri Malenchenko aboard the International Space Station is manning the manual Toru docking system, the backup system, in case his intervention should become necessary. His fellow crew members, Expedition 16 Commander Peggy Whitson and flight engineer Dan Tani aboard the International Space Station are standing by to assist in docking as the spacecraft continues to do its fly around of the International Space Station. It's now within about 175 yards of the station, again doing a planned fly around before it approaches the Piers docking compartment, where it will replace the Progress 27 cargo carrier. That cargo carrier was undocked from the station on Monday, filled with trash and discards, and is now about 40 miles ahead of the International Space Station doing some Earth observations for Russian flight controllers. It will be deorbited on February 15th to be destroyed with its load of discards as it re-enters the atmosphere. Here we're looking at the International Space Station from a camera on board the Progress 28, just about 155 or so yards from the orbiting laboratory. As the Progress continues its approach, the Orbit 2 team is on duty in the International Space Station Flight Control Room, Flight Control Room 1 in Houston's Mission Control Center. That team is led by Flight Director Annette Hasbrook. She's standing in the olive jacket, and she's supported by Capcom Jason Hurt in the maroon long-sleeve shirt at the upper left on your television screen. Very much in the spotlight today is the visiting vehicle officer console. That's immediately behind Hasbrook. The prime VVO for today's docking is Tom Erkensvik. You can see him at the far right of your screen in the yellow shirt and the dark hair.
Is calling ISS. How do you read? Go ahead.
Юрий, то есть сейчас будет введено разрешение на причину.
Yuri, there will be a go shortly for the final approach to the station. Please be ready for automatic final approach mode. Okay, we're ready.
That conversation between Mission Control Moscow and Yuri Malenchenko, the flight engineer, and cosmonaut, telling him that he can expect a final go for docking momentarily. On that VVO console here in the Flight Control Room 1, the International Space Station Flight Control Room of Houston's Mission Control Center, again the primary VVO, Visiting Vehicle Officer, who's keeping track of station activities and the approach of the Progress 28 cargo carrier, Tom Erkensvik, is supported today by Richard Parker, who's with him on that console.
Yes, we are monitoring final approach, final approach.
And that call indicating the final approach of the Progress 28 cargo carrier to the International Space Station has begun.
Peggy, ЦУПу Москвы, канал СГ-1.
Peggy, MCC Moscow. Yes, I'm here. Peggy, could you please initiate the procedure from the Russian laptop? Which one? SM procedure TVM. You need to close the shutter of the window. Already done. Thank you.
Юрий, напоминаю, с 30...
Yuri, as a reminder, at this range 30 meter, please don't forget to activate Работа. Copy.
Range now about 125 yards as the two spacecraft are crossing northern Africa, just approaching the Mediterranean coast. All continues to go smoothly as Progress is on its final approach to the orbiting laboratory. And VVO Tom Erkenswick here in the International Space Station Flight Control Room reports that the range is just about 100 yards now. Now looking at the Progress 28 against the North African desert as it continues its approach to the International Space Station. Range is close to just about 75 yards. All continues to go smoothly as the crew members aboard the International Space Station, Commander Peggy Whitson and cosmonaut Yuri Malenchenko and astronaut Dan Tani, prepare for the docking of Progress 28. The two spacecraft, the station and Progress 28, just now crossing the northern coast of Africa and passing out over the Mediterranean Sea. This view from the Progress camera. And now we're back with the camera on board the International Space Station, again looking down over the Mediterranean. Both spacecraft on a northeasterly heading, just about to begin a loop around Western Europe and out over Central Asia. Range now about 50 yards as the Progress continues its approach to the International Space Station. In this view you can see the Pierce docking compartment just a little bit above and a little to the right of the crossing, the intersection of these two lines on your screen. Appears as the docking port for P-26, which is...
Юрий Иванович, то есть есть подтверждение?
Yuri Ivanovich, the range is 47 meters. Yes, I see it. Copy.
Поэтому антенну с пульта команду не выдавать.
And as the range decreases to below 50 yards, VVO Tom Erkenswick in the International Space Station Flight Control Room reporting a good retraction of the course antenna. Looking again at the Pierce docking compartment from the camera aboard the Progress 28, and now back to a view from the station.
The range is 30, so activate Robota. We have the indication. Everything is nominal. Copy.
And range now about 30 yards as the Progress 28, bringing to the International Space Station a cargo totaling 15,129 pounds of equipment and supplies, continues its normal approach to the International Space Station. That cargo breaks down to 1,165 pounds of propellant, more than 100 pounds of oxygen and air, about 925 pounds water, and 2,925 pounds of dry cargo. Progress right on the money, as you see in this view. Continuing its approach to the International Space Station, range now just about 20 yards.
Появился
I have a pitch. Copy. There is a shift to the right. Yuri, what is going on? Yuri? Everything is nominal. We need to have nerves of steel with your normal. The range is closing. Copy.
Range now just about 10 yards. Yuri Malenchenko on the International Space Station reporting the approach normal.
The image is unstable. How do you monitor? Now it's stable. Copy. I can monitor it very well. I have a little.
This view showing Progress 28 approaching the Pierce docking compartment in the lower center of your television screen. And now a look from cameras on board Progress 28.
Yervanch, how do you see the picture? Yervanch, we have some problems with the TV on the ground. Yuri, how do you copy? Yes. There are contact and contact. Copy.
And flight controllers reporting contact and capture of the Progress 28 unpiloted cargo carrier as it has reached and docked with the International Space Station. Visiting Vehicle Officer Tom Erkenswick.
Moscow, on form Sudan, we have a drift.
Принято. Работайте по 27 странице, выключение тору.
Copy, and you have to work on page 27, item 4.5 of the RODF. Copy.
Moscow reports the docking probe retracting. The official docking time of the Progress 28 cargo carrier to the International Space Station was 8:30 and 13 seconds Central Time. Again, that docking time, 8:30 and 13 seconds this morning Central Time.
The manual control is not lit.
Импульсные режимы мы не включали. Включаем телевизор.
The TV is off.
Выдаем БПС.
BPS initial is activated. Copy.
Выдали.
It's done.
Индикаторы.
All the indicators are nominal. The commands are deactivated. Copy.
Docking probe retracted, being retracted as the two spacecraft pass over the Ural Mountains, separating Europe and Asia on a ground track that will take them down over southeastern Asia and out over the Pacific Ocean in darkness.
Copy. Initial. So the power and backup power are
Включаем сеть.
lit.
Принято.
Copy.
Отключили сеть, все погасло. Отключаем
That
передачу.
is on, that is off,
Где абонента отключили.
and the ATU indication is off. Copy.
Next step after the docking probe is retracted will be the closing of hooks and latches to firmly affix the Progress 28 cargo carrier to the International Space Station. Can all continue to go smoothly right on up until the docking time. The docking officially occurred based on Mission Control Moscow at 8:30 and 13 seconds a.m. Central Time this morning.